I'm Alicia Hill. I'm in World Lit Honors 4th period Mystery Makers class, and I'm reading American classic East of Eden by John Steinbeck. This week I read 39 pages into the book, but including the preface, that's another 30, so 69 pages. My dialectical journal, my quote was, "He was a man of love, and his wife was not a woman to show her feelings." That's found on page 9. I find this connection is a text to media connection. I kind of thought about this in a similar manner to kind of like the Cinderella story dynamic of a man who's kind of just trying to give his family whatever he can, and then a woman comes along who's kind of greedy and money hungry, and she's driven by power and lavish things. And so I kind of think of that she isn't as sensitive as he is to kind of like reality and emotions and humanity in a sense. And I think that the whole like Cinderella story dynamic that's shown in the media in the movie Cinderella Story, however many there are, there's so many remakes of this idea. I think it's also important to mention that his wife, in the first few pages of her description and her introduction, is described as a hard woman, someone insensitive, a very Capricorn type person. She is a woman of Irish descent. She's very hard, very brooding, and he is kind of a go happy go lucky kind of guy. And I think this also kind of relates to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet in the way of the writing is so story driven. It's telling a story. Kind of like in The Hobbit, the first couple pages, it's telling about, his house and what it's like to be a hobbit and all those things. And it's really focusing on the story and letting you know like the entire picture. The book started off a little slow. The preface is 30 pages long. It's just kind of general information about the author, his books that he's made, and other information on him. The first couple pages of the book focus really on Salinas Valley and kind of the location of the story it focuses on, where it's happening, why it's happening there, and then once you get around page 8, that's when the characters start being introduced with a husband and his Irish wife, and then it kind of falls into the family dynamic. The story picks up pretty fast after you get through the preface and the location. I feel like they spent a long time on the location. But other than that, the book so far is pretty good, and I'm kind of excited to see what happens next. A few more things that I wanted to mention is that on the description of this book, which I read to choose the book, it spoke about how this is similar to the actual Bible story of the Garden of Eden, hence East of Eden. I found that interesting, and as I was reading the book, I noticed that they actually use biblical names. Adam, Abe, Cyrus, very old-timey names that are used in the Bible, and I thought that was pretty interesting that they incorporated that to make it very connected to the deep-rooted idea of the actual story itself.